Good afternoon, traders. Zach here with the Trading Network. Hope you guys are doing well, and happy Friday at that. It is indeed Friday, April 30th, and I've got another daily market profile recap for you for both the ES and NQ futures markets. So we are going to switch it up a little bit, head on over to the profile, and start off with NQ first and foremost. And the first level that I was looking at on NQ was the prior range high up here at 14,060. The second level I was looking at was right here at 13,975. That was yesterday's value area high. The third level was the overnight high just below that at 13,946. Fourth level was the prior value area low at 13,871. And last but not least, I was looking at the prior range low down here at 13,818. This is actually just a one-letter typo, so that should be PRL and not PVL. All right, so moving on over here to ES, you guys should notice a very similar pattern, how I am often picking out the same profile levels that I use on NQ that I do on ES each day, starting first and foremost with this prior range high up at 42.11. Second level I was looking at was the overnight high at 42.0125, also lined up with 42.01, which is yesterday's value area high. And just below that at 41.99, that was yesterday's line in the sand level. That was more confluence for this area to be a level of interest today. So third level that I was looking at was the point of control down here. And the point of control, for those of you guys who are not familiar with the profile or new to the profile, that is where the most trading activity took place. And on the left side, this is where the most time was spent, right? So you can gather that this is indeed where the most important price action. So moving on to that third level, I was looking at the overnight point of control, this 41.91 level. And for those of you guys who are new to the market profile or new to this type of market analysis, the point of control is where the most time was spent. On the TPO side right here, you can see that it sticks out the furthest, and each one of these TPOs represents a 30-minute block of time. So if you have a TPO or a row here that goes out the furthest, you know that price spent the most time here. And a lot of times it will line up where the volume point of control and the time or the TPO point of control are very, very close to each other. But sometimes you will get some variance here where the most volume was done, in this case, outside of the value area here, which is very interesting. And you can see that this volume point of control from last night actually ended up being very close to our current point of control today. So keep an eye on those levels, both the overnight point of control and the regular trading hours point of control. And you'll start to notice that, for lack of a better term, the POCs kind of act as magnets for price, and you can use them as targets, and they work very, very well. Moving on from that overnight POC at 41.91, next level I was looking at was the overnight low down here at 41.7425, and rounding off the key levels with yesterday's low down here at 41.68. So we are going to move down into the analysis here, and I will discuss my thoughts pre-market. So the overnight inventory was short on ES and NQ, which means that the entirety of the overnight price action, which is right here, was below the settlement price. So you can see settlement at 42.03. Here's the overnight inventory entirely below settlement. And we can see the same thing here on NQ. Settlement's 13,953, and the entire overnight inventory or overnight profile is below that level. Now, we were looking to open below Thursday's value area on NQ and at the bottom of the value area from yesterday on ES. This is telling us that there has been a relatively small change in sentiment since yesterday's session, and that ranging price action is more likely with the overnight inventory positioned as it was. So today I was looking at the prior value area low on NQ down here at 13,871, and on ES I was looking at the overnight low at 41.7425 as the line in the sand levels. My thought was if we could move and hold above those levels, we were likely to get a rotation back to the upside, back to value area high from yesterday. And if we could not hold above those levels, then I was going to look for a move down into the lows from the previous weekly profiles. Now, zooming in here, just to give you guys an idea, you can see that we opened right here. Here's O period. We opened right around the overnight VPOC, volume point of control. We opened about 6 points or so above the value area low from yesterday on ES. And if we zoom in on NQ, we do the same thing. We find O period. You can see that is right here. We opened below value area low. So typically, if we hold below value area low, reject, that is a bearish signal. That means that the other time frame players, or the stronger players, generally speaking, are not viewing the previous value area as fair value. And we did actually, we didn't get quite to a full rotation, but we got very close. And what I mean by that is we move from the previous value area low to the previous value area high, and basically just range between those two levels until the market determines or finds directional conviction one way or the other. So when we open within range and value, or very close to being within range and value, that basically tells us there's a higher likelihood of us having a ranging day. And with that, we want to make sure that we're not trying to catch a trend before a trend develops. We want to be very, very careful that we're not trying to long the top of a range with our trending strategy, for instance, just because it looks like we might break out. We want to wait for the breakout, allow the market to tell us, okay, we're beginning to trend, and then take the trending move. Because when the market has little directional conviction, it is very, very easy to get chopped up. And it's super important to have tools like this to be able to tell you, okay, higher probability is the range. We're ranging between two known levels, like the value area high and low. So let me wait until one of those levels clearly breaks and holds above or below to really use my trending strategy and try to play the breakout. So I just wanted to make a point to say that, because ranging price action is very difficult to trade. I feel like trading is a situation where most people make their money in the trend and give their money back in the range. Everybody wants to catch the trending moves because it's fun and it's easier in a lot of instances. But if you can keep in mind that price is ranging 70 to 80% of the time and trending much less, then you are going to be able to take this information, use that ranging price action to your advantage, and just long the bottom of the range and short the top until it breaks. So just wanted to point that out, because that's something that's very important in the development as a trader, in my opinion, is to be able to determine the different types of market environments. And that is one of the things that I discuss in the Fundamentals of Futures Trading course as well. So just to reiterate here, today I was looking at the prior value area low and the overnight low as the line in the sands. And if we could not move and hold above those levels on open, I was looking for a move back down into the lows from yesterday. And if those levels break, I was looking for short opportunity to previous weekly profile levels. And again, if we could move and hold above those levels on open, I was looking for a rotation to the value area high and possibly prior highs if those broke to the upside. Now, just to reiterate one more time, these line in the sand levels are essentially how I create my trade plan every single day. I find levels that are close to where price action is going to open, profile levels to be exact, and I use those and say, okay, if this breaks to the downside, I'm going to look for shorts to the previous profile levels that are under that level, and vice versa on the upside. And this is how I develop if-then scenarios for any market condition, and I always have really an opportunity to make money, whether the high probability situation plays out, the low probability situation plays out, the ranging or trending situations play out. You want to make sure that you are prepared for all market conditions so you can treat them properly and know when to take trades and know when to sit out when it comes down to it. So let's dig right into the levels here. I will hold off on any more tangents, but I hope you guys find this information valuable, because these are just things that I've kind of experienced throughout my trading journey that have helped me significantly. So I hope they help you guys as well. All right, so digging into the ES line in the sand here at 41.72 and the targets following, you can see that once again we opened above 41.72 and we did not move back down below until later in the session. So first upside target that was hit was actually the only upside target that was hit, if we're being technical here, because the second one was 41.90 and we got within 3 ticks. So before we get ahead of ourselves, the first upside target and only exact upside target that was hit was 41.8350, and that was the overnight low from the 28th into 29th Globex sesh. And the second upside target was 41.90 right here. This was the initial balanced low and also the overnight POC. But to be fair, if you guys are using these trade plans and for instance, you took a long on the hold above 72 on or in the initial balance, targeted 83 and, held until 89, you can look and say, all right, well, we've got good resistance here. We've got multiple profile levels. If price puts in bearish candlestick structure, then I likely just want to take profit. And, I'm not going to worry about the extra 3 ticks. Not an exact science, but you can use these levels to your advantage significantly and use the other information that the market is giving you, like candlestick structure and oscillator structure and things like that, to give you the complete picture and tell you when it's time to exit your trade, even if it doesn't get to the exact tick of your take profit. So with that said, only one upside target hit. You could say 1 or 2 if you wanted to be generous on those 3 ticks. But let us move into those downside targets, which did not get hit very much either, right? So we had a very, very small ranging day, only 22 points. I did not trade very much myself. I was not a fan of, how price was acting after really the first hour of price action. So I wasn't really involved in the market too much myself. With that said, the downside targets that I was interested in were the 41.68 level first and foremost, the 41.63 level right here. This was the overnight low of 25th into 26th session. The next one was 41.61. You can see that here. This was the point of control from the April 22nd session. The fourth downside target was 41.48. This was all the way down here, the initial balance high from the 23rd session. That was that extended 55-point session that we had on the 23rd. Also lined up with the initial balance low from that previous session on the 22nd. And last but not least, 41.31 was my last target, which we obviously did not get hit, and that was the prior range low from the regular trading hour session of April 23rd. All right, so moving into the targets and line in the sand level on NQ, we are going to start with 13,871 as we previously discussed. And NQ was a little bit different. We did have a few more targets hit on NQ, but still fairly small range for what we're used to with NASDAQ futures. So on the upside, the targets that were hit first and foremost was 13,894. That was the overnight POC that we discussed. Next one was 13,921. That was yesterday's initial balance low. That is the low for the opening 1 hour range for those of you guys not familiar. Third upside target and final upside target that was hit was 13,941. And the last upside target that I was interested in was 13,975, which was yesterday's prior value area high, which we did not move into. And again, just as a side note, I am looking for this structure to get repaired if we move and hold above this 13,975 level moving into next week. So on the downside, we really only had one downside target hit, and that was the 13,853 level, which was actually the initial balance high from the April 23rd session all the way back here. So that was, about 15, 20 points or so. And if you, once again, very similar to that ES upside target, if you were playing the break of this to the downside, targeting our level of 21, which is back here, the initial balance high from the 21st session, then maybe you were watching the candlestick structure and saying, okay, well, it looks like price is bouncing at 25 instead of 21. So maybe I'll close my trade here and take the profit that I have because that's what the market is telling me to do. So with that said, on the upside, we had the 13,894 level hit, we had the 13,921 level hit, and we had the 13,941 level hit. On the downside, we technically only got the 13,853 level, but that's okay. That's plenty of edge. And, when it comes down to it, we really don't need to hold the whole move from the break of the line in the sand level to, our first, second, third target. You can take scalps off these levels. You can take, bits and pieces of the moves from one profile level to the other. So I would urge you guys to, plot these profile levels on your chart and start to experiment with them and watch how price reacts to them. So it was a very interesting day. It was a really choppy, kind of rangy week, to be honest. And it's going to be very interesting to see how we resolve this. So just pointing out here, we have this gap from the weekly profile here. It's all the way down at 4,017. So I do believe, that it's possible we are consolidating for an expansion to the downside, but that's kind of just speculation at this point. We got to take it one level at a time, and we will see where we get. We are currently right at the monthly composite point of control. So 4180-ish is going to be a very important level. 4150. I'll talk about this on Sunday a little bit more when we get into the weekly forecast, but these are levels that I'm going to be looking at in the coming week moving forward. So with that said, I want to thank you guys very much for taking the time to watch this content. If you do like what you see, please like and subscribe down below, and check out the links in the description below as well, where you can first and foremost find a link to the free Facebook group where I release these trade plans on a daily basis, Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. You can also find a link to the tradingnetwork.io, which is our website where you can learn more about one-on-one mentorship with me. You can learn more about the Trading Network proprietary indicator package. You can learn more about joining the Trading Network private Discord group where you can watch me trade live Monday through Friday starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. And last but not least, you can purchase the Fundamentals of Futures Trading course, which is a comprehensive course that goes over multiple strategies for varying market conditions. You can also learn more about the bundles that we offer, which include lifetime Discord access and, of course, the proprietary indicator package, all included on a payment plan even, to make things a little bit easier on the wallet as well. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Trading Network, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.